Okay, let's first summarize the parts of the basic syntax that we covered that are used very frequently. Loops, conditionals like if statements, and accessing arrays are very similar in Java to the way that they're used in C and C++, except that there's one new kind of loop where you make up a variable name and you point at a collection like an array, and it assigns the variable to each entry in the collection in turn. Be sure to indent your code. Every time you open a block with curly braces, indent and indent consistently. Exactly how much you indent and where you put the curly braces, however, is open to debate. String is a real class, and it's important to understand that equals equals does not check if two strings contain the same characters, but it checks if two strings are the same object in memory, which is rarely what you actually want to test. Arrays, there's the one-step array allocation process, which is simple and easy, but often doesn't apply. There's the two-step process when you don't know ahead of time how big the array is, but if you use the two-step process, you have to remember first to make space for the entries, and then secondly to loop down the array and insert entries into the array, insert values into the array. And there's math.random, math.sign, math.cosine, math.POW, math.square root, math.cube root, and so forth. There are static methods in the array class. So everything on this slide you have to know down cold. Every single thing here you will use frequently as a Java programmer, regardless of your application area. This next slide are things that it's good to know about. You'll use relatively frequently when you're first learning, just for practice, but are not that critical in real life, and they can be lower on your priority list of things to learn. You can read command line arguments. You can use the array that's passed to main and check arg sub 0, arg sub 1, and so forth, but don't forget to check the length first. You can convert those strings to whole numbers or floating point numbers. And you can use the scanner class to read values from the user. But those are mostly relegated to simple testing. They're not very useful in real life, because in real life you typically use a user interface, which could be something that pops up on the desktop or the screen, or something that, or desktop or phone, or something that's remotely accessed in the case of web applications and a browser.